All right, so it's part 2 of Ghostbusters 2. I like that French kind of duh. It's an emphasis on the right syllable.
But it's really close to duh.
Duh.
For Americans, duh.
This is Ghostbusters duh, part 2. Or duh, I don't know. Well, it depends on how you feel about Ghostbusters 2, I guess. Today's question for the second part of the Ghostbusters 2 review discussion nerd engagement.
Well, we just kind of like to do these cold opens. It's fun.
It's a great time for the whole fan family. What musical instrument would you play if you could play any instrument in the world without, like, you could just pick it up and it would happen and you could play it for the every time, like it would be the thing you had?
I've always wanted to learn to play the piano.
Piano, okay.
But I just have like these weird ham fists that are just not... They're not agile.
Ham fists?
Yes, like my stubby fingers, whatever.
No, I have stubby fingers too.
Yeah, so you relate.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine trying to play the piano with these big, like... Yeah, it's just not going to work. Yeah, I mean, I dug it, and I always thought it was like a fascinating like instrument.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at all the music you can play and whatever. But I'm just kind of like, I just don't got that.
When I was a kid, my parents had me take piano lessons, and it was fine until I got older, and I was like, I can't play with these things.
Yeah.
These digits are not made for piano playing.
They're not slim and agile.
Right.
They're just kind of like clunky.
I was not built for piano playing.
Yeah.
The instrument that I would want to be able to play, well, there's 2. The instrument that I played in middle school and like 2 months of my high school life was the French horn.
Okay.
Now, I admit, in middle school, I did not practice very well. I don't even think I knew really how to play it very well. But the French horn is a beautiful instrument. Mm-hmm. So the French horn, it's like 16 million miles of pipe wrapped up. You hold it like this, you put your hand in the bell, and you play, and there's 3 keys, and you have to do whatever.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I played trumpet in middle school, but I had the same thing where I just really would practice and whatever and whatnot.
The French horn is a beautiful instrument, and I think that would be the one if I was really... Like, I would just, it's the sound of it is so regal and so incredible.
Well, it's
so
super rich.
Yeah, and I love that sound. The other instrument that I would love to learn how to play or be able to play when I want to is the trombone. Why? Like, it's just a fun instrument to watch people play. Like, it's just and because
they're so animated. When
and I would get my cardio. I would get my cardio. Like, every day would be arm day. And then maybe I figure out how to build in like a leg press on my trumpet or my trombone.
Just get the full body workout while you're working this thing.
There's $1 million idea that no one has thought of.
See, the other one I wanted to play is like violin.
Yes.
Because you see a professional violinist, when they play that instrument, they can get any emotion out of you.
Oh my gosh.
And then they stir you up with that thing. They can, the violin is
Yo-Yo Ma is cello.
Yeah.
Holy mother.
Stringed instruments like that.
There's power in music. Which unfortunately Ghostbusters 2 fails at miserably.
Yeah.
So stick
There's
around.
No power in this music. Well, unless you want to make the Statue of Liberty walk.
Which we're going to talk about.
And
it's going
cut to the intro here.
Let's go to the intro before we start throwing up in our mouths again. You are listening to Nerds by Screenlight. My name is Aaron.
And I'm James.
And we'll be back in just a second.
Get nerdy with me. Talk nerdy to me. Get nerdy with me. All I really need for you to do is just please.
I can stop.
Talk to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Previously on Nerds by Screenlight. That's what we're going to... I recorded that part anyway. Previously we talked through Ghostbusters 2, the beginning and almost the middle, and we're arcing towards the end, which is more than we can say for a lot of our characters and how their arcs were working very well. So we ended with the bathtub scene, as James said, where the blob is coming for her and her baby.
Yep.
We come back. Spengler's character is mixed up, and this this point I do say he is a little bit of he's not quite a hot mess in my opinion, but he's pretty gosh darn close. We get Vigo's history, which is not as clunky of exposition. It is a bit clunky. It's not full clunk. It's like half clunk.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you don't really understand him too much and where he's coming from and. What he's kind of like what's your main goal here, buddy?
Right.
And what is your connection to ghosts?
Right.
When you're an evil sorcerer.
Right. That isn't really explained. It is kind of just this.
And like, why the slime?
Right. Well, so in reading the history of what happened with this movie, the original shots, the original movie, whatever that was previewed, audiences didn't understand the connection. They're like, so what's the connection? And so they had to reshoot scenes showing like the blob coming out of the tub and the connection that Gozer is doing. Like
not Gozer, but Vigo.
Vigo. Good Lord, I'm mixing up my bad guys.
I'm here to save you. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
Remember, I'm the cynical super nerd.
You couldn't finish it with a straight face, could you?
No, I started dying halfway through this.
So part of what I think happened is, and I can't remember if this is, so this next scene where they've taken pictures. So the Ghostbusters all show up to the workshop, to the museum.
Oh yeah,
and
we need to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, and so Venkman as a warm flirt is the best, and he is very warm and flirty here.
Yep,
and I love it. They do mess with. Peter Nichols' character, which I adore. Again, I love anything he's doing in this movie. It's never going to change. It's okay. It's just he's.
You're allowed to fanboy.
It's my bromance. Like if I ever met the man in real life, I would hug him and be like, "You're my Ghostbusters 2 hero." So watch out, Peter Nichols. I'm going to find you somewhere and not. Wow, that didn't sound good at all.
You'd be the only person like crying over him over Ghostbusters 2.
That's true.
He probably wouldn't know how to react. Like, what?
He's like, what is happening? Security?
Get this man away from me.
Security. Anyway, so they're kind of messing with him. They're taking pictures.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Peter's doing the whole distraction while the other ones are actually doing the
doing the work, taking the pictures and stuff like that. So,
and you get the scene. This is something we can talk about. You get the scene with Ray staring into the painting and his eyes glow and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's actually a whole dropped subplot that never appeared in this movie.
Does he get possessed at
he's supposed to, it's supposed to show Ray is like susceptible because of his childlike belief and everything, whatever, that he's susceptible to being possessed.
Which then explains what happens in the end.
Possessed earlier on by something else and whatever, and that brings that into that where it's like, okay, Vigo's like figuring out, you're the weak one here.
I can go for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that explains later, like in the end of the movie, when he does become Vigo. Yeah. Vigo jumps into his body, which is a very scary scene. I mean,
that facial. They did some good effects with that face.
You're just like, It actually does scare you a little bit. I was watching it last night and I was like, oh my god, that's terrifying.
Well, it also plays into Dan Aykroyd himself as an actor, like. We can go step back to Ghostbusters 1 when they were going to like put marshmallow slime, the shaving cream, the marshmallow slime, whatever. He was just like, slather it on me. Give me as much as you can that'll hold on to me. And like in the scene, like later on when he gets slimed and stuff, he did the same thing. He was like, hit me with it. And the same thing is like when they went to put his makeup on, he's just like, just make it as horrible as you can. It's like, I'll just sit here and suck it up.
Dan Aykroyd is second on my list for the bromance.
Because he's so down for it.
Yeah, and that child. I think part of Venkman's character is it Nope.
Ray Stantz.
There we go. Stantz's character, that childlike kind of innocence, it does come directly from Dan Aykroyd.
Oh yeah,
he is up for anything. He is like you watch the video on YouTube. You search Dan Aykroyd Ecto-1. And he is just this down-to-earth, like, oh my gosh, you guys are so great, thank you. Like, he is just the most genuine human being you can get your hands on. And I love how that part of him really fills Ray Stantz's character. They take the pictures, they go to develop them, and this is, I think, where the reshoot happens, where they see the sludge in the photo, and they make the connection.
They show that river beneath.
Yeah, and they say, "Oh, that's the connection," and then all of a sudden.
But that's like the only thing we really get.
But that's what I'm guessing that's what they had to reshoot. Yeah. They had to add that shot in there to help people understand this is where it's coming from. But unfortunately, it comes so late. Yeah. It's like,
and even then, it's kind of one of those things. Like, okay, you kind of also need to explain how our emotion slime.
Yeah.
Why? How does it bring up ghosts?
Right.
Like they don't really attach all that too well together. Yeah. And it's like they should have done when they were talking about Vigo something, and they're reading the Carpathian, reading off the Tobin Spear guy. They probably should have mentioned something about the slime and other things and effects like that he causes or something like that.
Yeah.
And that should all tie together and give them that hints.
Right.
But they don't. And
yeah.
so it kind of falls kind of weirdly flat.
Yeah.
Where it's like, how does this all fit together?
The connecting dots of the plot are not as tight as Ghostbusters, the original. And in defense, it is a sequel, and sequels after this, I think this is this was a sequel that was kind of a portents of what was coming.
Admittedly, like almost all comedy sequels fall flat.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to, once you have your character kind of
Yeah.
grow and hit this other point or something, how do you get them to be the
Right.
same person again?
Right.
And so that's usually the flaw, the
Right.
sinister flaw in comedy sequels.
Right. That's true. There is that. Okay, subway scene. So they get down in the subway. They all get slimed. And this is the point you made. And I actually, when I watched it, I was like, dang, he's right. Egon doesn't have emotions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the,
And they
the fight scene.
play it so straight.
Yep.
And I love that because it does bring us back to the original Egon. That he's not prone to emotions. And again, you could talk about how on either side of the scene there is some inconsistency in his character with emotions and stuff.
Yeah,
but
that's
in
why
this,
it's like, yeah, it was like we learned that the slime preys on your
yeah.
emotions.
And these guys almost kill each
and
other.
yeah.
And Egon's like, whoa.
And he's like immune to it.
Yeah, he just steps up and says, stop it. And that I think is a beautiful character moment because we come to realize that Egon may be the strongest of all the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
He may be the best of them. And I think that's interesting when we look to Afterlife within that context and go, the best of them is the one they lost.
Yeah.
And that I think makes, again, a lot of this stuff from Ghostbusters 2 makes Afterlife and that ending scene even more powerful.
Yeah, a little bit better.
And even more like emotionally kind of affecting because you're like, dang, out of all these guys, Egon was the one true believer. Egon was the one, and it does. And so to that end, I've seen a lot of reviews about Afterlife going, oh, well, why did this happen to the Ghostbusters? Why did they break apart? It's like, but what if Egon was the only one true believer and the rest of them fell apart? And they didn't believe. They lost their belief. But Egon, out of all of them, the one true scientist we've talked about, he's the one that knows, without a doubt, the end of the world is coming. The Gozer's coming back.
Well, he puts it together. They hint at it after, like he puts this kind of time frame together where he produces more ghosts and goes after. Because they made a brief mention where it's like ghost hauntings kept happening after the Vigo event too.
Yeah.
But then they just petered away and then everything fell apart.
Yeah.
But Egon, somewhere in that time frame, that 30-year jump, whatever, he puts it together that there's more going on here.
Yeah.
We didn't really solve the problems in the first place. Yeah. And then that's how he ends up where he's at.
Yep. So then we have Dana Barrett and Ray Stan. Nope. Venkman. I'm getting the Ghostbusters mixed up.
Well, this is the awkward romance
dinner scene
thing that.
I will freely admit that I fast forwarded through this thing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I stopped when the rest of the Ghostbusters showed up, and I love it because I made a note when they interrupted dinner. I said, "That's the Ghostbusters. That's the crazy guys. That's the fun of the Ghostbusters. Is they are absolutely out of control, hilariously like they don't care who you are, where you're at." If they know the truth, if they've got a situation, they're not even going to look around. They're just going to barge in and be like, oh my gosh, do you know what's happening?
Yeah, see, this is an awkward kind of reflection of the Tavern on the Green scene from number 1.
Yeah.
Where it's like they bust in the high society as like, we're the weirdos kind of thing, where Louis Tully was the weird one where everybody ignored him.
So have you've seen Blues Brothers, yes?
Yes.
So this also
Blues Brothers is like my favorite movie.
Oh, I love Blues Brothers. So this reminds me of the scene where the Blues Brothers show up at the dinner, at the expensive dinner.
And they're torturing their
the waiter guy, and they're like, "How much for the girl?"
Yeah.
They're like, "What?" She's like, "How much for the girl and the whatever?" And the girl's just like she's
horrified.
Right. Well, she's amused because she knows they're just being sarcastically troublemaking, and it's just like that scene. But I think it's a staple of the 80s where like restaurants get invaded by the outsiders.
Yes.
And even it happened in Ghostbusters, the original, where at that societal kind of dinner place, the Terror Dog attacks
Louis Tully.
Thank you. Louis Tully, and they ignore him.
By the way, continuing on with it, that's Vince Glortho who attacks Louis Tully. Everybody will remember.
You sound a bit like a Vince Clorthal gospel spreading of the gospel.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind of concerned for you.
All hail Gozer.
And on that note, this episode's gone. I gotta go. I gotta be somewhere.
The wife is calling?
Yeah. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Are there any around?
Who's Aaron gonna call to get out of this? His wife?
Yeah, please. Come help me. I don't want to die. Okay, so we were going back into this. So the dinner theater. So the mayor once more.
In between this, we get the most out of place element in this whole thing.
Okay, walk us through it.
Janine and Louis.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this one doesn't make me happy. So this, I don't know why it happened. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. And again, it's the 80s, so who knows? But they put Janine Melnitz and Tully together, and they end up like making out on the couch, and Dana Barrett gets home, and
we also get like, you guys, hopefully you watched like Ghostbusters, the original one, and you saw Janine there.
Yeah.
And now you see her in this one, and she's got that goofy hair, the awkward dress. She's not Janine.
No.
She's not the sarcastic secretary that we had in the first one. She's just completely different, weird, out of place character where it's kind of like they took the image from the animated thing because she looks similar to the animated one and put it on this Janine, but then decided to give her like a whole nother personality that doesn't fit either the animated or the first one at all.
And we talk about like this, the kids don't say this anymore, but the kids used to call, "Hey, I ship that relationship."
Yeah,
I think everyone.
Well, they still say ship.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm hip to the retro language or whatever the thing is. Anyway, so I long shipped Janine and Egon.
Anybody with any sense did.
Yes.
If you shipped Egon with anybody else,
you're wrong.
Yeah,
you're
just
communist.
wrong. You're as bad as the people like creamy peanut butter.
Communists, all of them. Yeah. That may be our new tagline.
Pod people.
Let's do pod people, because I'm not sure if I want to get an angry letter from the communists.
No,
because they
blow stuff up.
Well, no, they just imprison you in China and do all terrible things. This is not a political and/or news show. No. Moving forward,
the thing is, it's topical for the time frame because remember, we were kind of at this time we were paranoid about communism.
The Cold War was still at full speed ahead. So anyway, so when this movie happened, I was just like, really?
Yeah, this romance. They should never.
And I mean, it is a new character. Janine's not who she is because like when she's walking, she's all like and she's all like prim and proper, and I'm like, that is not Janine Melnitz.
And like her attitude is like more like predator prey thing with Lewis, and it's kind of like weird. Yeah. Like do not like. I'm glad that she kind of came back to earth in Afterlife in the few moments we had her on screen. Yeah, where they took up. There's Janine from the first one.
There's
not Janine
the one
from
we know and
2.
love. She finally had and so I feel. You got to use these words in therapy, apparently. Yep. I feel like Janine and Egon eventually did hook up and not get married, but there's something there.
Maybe.
Like she cared for him, and like I prefer that shipping and that lane, that shipping lane, to borrow a metaphor, versus the Tully and her nonsense. Because just no.
Yeah.
So they get committed to the asylum.
Oh, there's something that I forgot. Do I have it in my notes here somewhere?
I don't know.
Hang on a second. I have there's a scene in here where we see Slimer kind of in the Slimer's inside the Ghostbusters firehouse. Yeah. Like my brain just wouldn't want to do it. I couldn't think of the word. It just kept escaping
It's a
me.
firehouse.
Firehouse.
Yeah, so in the original Gaelic.
So Slimer's in the firehouse.
Yes.
And Lewis is like he's eating Lewis's lunch.
Oh yeah, and Lewis like caterwauls over the couch or some such nonsense.
And Slimer like runs away from him and whatever and escapes. This is a tie back. There is a further storyline that ties into Lewis like donning the stuff at the end.
Okay.
Where with Slimer, where he and Slimer had like this because Slimer's a friend now. Remember?
Yeah.
They have this kind of like rivalry thing going on where they're kind of friends, but also
frenemies.
Against each other. Yeah. Because Slimer would eat his lunch all the time and do stuff to him and whatever. And Lewis was always trying to like capture him and get him back, and get back to him, whatever wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And that's why they have this buddy relationship, which is totally awkward and doesn't fit in here.
Doesn't fit in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah. I mean, it was in the animated series, but no one, like adults and stuff that were going to watch this movie weren't. As
Egon would say, don't cross the streams.
Yeah, they messed it up there because that's why we get Slimer driving the bus to take him to the museum later.
So let's see, Vigo when he command. Okay, so they get sent to the asylum and
this is dumb. This is them reaching back to them getting thrown in jail, but
it's a little hard, but it does give us space. For my favorite Oscar-winning actor. Not really. I'm not sure if he's actually won any Oscars. For Vigo and McNichols to McNichol just rocks this moment where he gets possessed and he asks Vigo, "Can I have the woman?"
Oh, yeah.
And Vigo says, "It will." He takes a moment. "It will be as you say." And then we get to the baby stealing.
Yeah.
I wrote very Deus ex machina.
Yeah.
This like random like
ghost Janusz
shows up with a baby carriage, seizes the baby.
Well, remember
and then takes
somehow
off.
the baby walks out on that ledge. He can't even crawl, but
By
it's
the power
walking.
of Grayskull.
By the power of Vigo.
Right.
I don't know. But like, okay, so Baby walks out on this ledge from this high-rise
Right.
apartment building.
Yeah, no, that-
And then Ghost Janusz, who they never explain how Ghost Janusz shows up.
Right? How is he empowered?
Yeah.
How does he get the body transference? None of that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like like this is like we talked about suspension and
Disbelief. Yeah.
disbelief. Like this is like no,
It breaks the mirror.
this jumped a shark.
Yeah,
This is
this
another
would be my
shark
third
coming.
jump the shark moment.
Yeah.
If you really stretched, if you stretched and
Like
pulled,
Janusz's arms in this scene.
if you stretched like Janusz and Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four, you might be able to work out a suspension of disbelief argument. But the gymnastics you'd have to do would put every Olympian on the team in exhaustion state. So
Yeah.
I agree. It's a Deus Ex Machina. It's a magic fix.
Yeah, they just like we backed ourselves into a corner.
Right.
How do we get out?
How do we get the baby from here to here?
Yeah.
Versus if you had maybe Dana get possessed
Yeah.
by something, or the liquid gets on her and
and it takes over there. There
yeah,
you
it
go.
takes over and forces her to walk, and she's like, make it's not like whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
like there's so many different ways you could resolve this
instead,
better.
You went for Ghost Baby, whatever the
Yeah,
heck he is.
Ghost Nanny Janusz.
Yeah. Very Sigourney.
Whatever.
So Sigourney arrives at the scene of the makeout session, and I do love how just kind of she's just
The
like,
other thing that's kind of awkward about this too, like
Yeah.
I remember this, they're in Peter Venkman's apartment,
Oh, that's right.
not her apartment. How does Janusz know
The power of
where they're at?
Grayskull.
The power of Ego.
the power of Grayskull.
Oh, yeah. So
you're
it's
asking,
just
you're
kinda-
asking for so much, and the
Yeah.
answer is just right there in front of you.
Yeah, I should have just ignored this. Like, I need to shut off my brain and just be like,
Reject.
I need to find Sour Patch Kids for the brain.
just pack in those plot holes with cement. It's fine. It's fine. It's
Ugh.
gonna be fine. So now we jump a few. I don't even.
And we also go through that awkward scene where the assistant mayor's so angry at them for
Yeah.
some unknown reason.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
we
blah,
jump.
blah,
I say
blah.
now we jump a few sharks.
Yeah.
The haunting scenes montage. It's better late than never. We needed it sooner though.
Yeah.
The mayor tries.
Dude, the mink coat scene
Yeah.
is amazing.
I love that. I made a note about that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. The new track, the new music track, the new soundtrack needs to die. I actually wrote that out. I said that it needs to go.
Oh, this is also our montage where it's like cameos everywhere.
Yeah,
let's
just-
give everybody a cameo. And this is also where they further went out with their like the effects of what's going on, where like Titanic comes
Yeah,
into port,
better late than never.
and it's kind of like, whoa,
Where did that even come into play? Like, how does that
Yeah.
even happen? Because the Titanic is in the middle of the ocean, as far away from New York as possible.
Yeah.
There's no way the slime got into the ocean, sped to the wreck, which was like 5 miles underneath the ocean, retrieved and did some juju thing, and then no, that was a bit of like, really,
Yep.
really.
See, this is the power of ego, or
well,
Grayskull in this
too
case.
much,
But
too
yeah,
much,
it's
too
just,
much
no.
Grayskull and too much Vigo.
Yeah, you can't be doing this because then, like I said, this is you keep jumping that shark.
Yeah. So this
I picture Evil Knievel, just jump over all the cars
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They just had lined up sharks, and now they're just jumping this thing. How many sharks can we jump over?
Sharks
in one
with
thing?
freaking lasers on them. Here are the things. Here's where things go off the rails. So they realize that they need some positive vibes.
Yeah.
And it's this is my ultimate jump the shark moment. This is where I wish I could like go back in time and say, all right, director, editor, producer, y'all, come here. Stop what you're doing. We need to go reshoot the ending, get rid of the Statue of Liberty, and figure this out so that it's not so. This is it. This is the moment where it's like, first of all, okay, so you get the music, the Jackie Wilson jumping high or whatever, and you coat the thing in the
Your
goo.
love
Yeah,
is lifting me higher.
Here's the thing, though: when the statue moves, right?
Yep.
Guess what the statue travels through? Water.
Yeah, it would have washed
It's
all
gonna
that
take
slime
away
away.
the slime. Oh well, it's sealed. The water can't get inside.
No.
No. It doesn't. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Which this is something like I wrote it in my notes at this point because it's kind of blatantly obvious the shot they do of
Yeah.
the Nintendo controller. But it's very important
I
if you
forgot-
look through this movie.
Right.
There is product placement everywhere.
And I wondered about that. I was like, why do they got a Nintendo controller?
It is a dirty, dirty crime. How
Call-
much they slid into this movie, just
Call
product placement.
the police. Get us some tickets written up.
Yeah, just to
put this movie in jail.
Yeah, but it's like they have that. It is a perfectly square shot where the controller fills
Yeah,
your
and
screen.
I noticed that, and I didn't make a note of it, but I was like, is that how they're going to drive it? That seems really dumb.
I mean, it seems like this is the way they explain how they're controlling it, because everybody can kind of understand it.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, boom, product placement, product placement. You could use an RC controller for like a car or something at the time and done this. Like the trap in Afterlife controlling the mobile trap. It's like, there you go. You have a radio controlled thing.
And it's not branded. It's just a regular old. So this is my moment where the movie, I officially almost check out, because from here on out, we're jumping sharks. We're ignoring rational plot.
Yep.
This is where this movie goes wrong for me. Now, James,
it's gone wrong a long time ago.
Yeah, James is far.
I mean,
behind.
this just helps further, because at this point I'm just laughing at everything because of how absurd it is.
And it like my favorite moment is we get a master shot of the museum covered in goo.
Yep.
And the Statue of Liberty is on the floor. She's face down in the street.
Yep.
She's not standing up. Sorry, I'm putting my microphone away from my face so you don't hear me shouting at you. But the Statue of Liberty is on. Did she lay down? Did she fall over? How did this?
Yeah.
No. My name is No, on the train to No, in the land of No, in the nation of No, on the planet of No, in the galaxy of No, in the supernova of No. No. You're done. You're done, son.
But remember, they somehow needed her and all those positive vibes to weaken the shell so they
Positive
could
vibes
bust
by
the glass. This is one of those things that they also missed, a big missed point in this movie, where they needed to do more show. Like, okay, we understand from little bits that the slime has negative impacts.
Right.
It feeds off negative energy and helps generate negative energy. Well, we needed some scenes of like just New Yorkers being super mega jerks.
Yeah.
Like, we needed some scenes of people fighting, some rioting maybe.
Right, and we got that in the beginning of the movie when people were rude to each other and all
But
that.
they barely did anything.
But it didn't come back.
Yeah, it's kind of like we needed this to kind of grow in the background
That
throughout
theme
everything.
that theme did not
and they
come
didn't
back.
do this.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like, oh, positive vibes can just kind of magically be better than all these negative vibes that have been building up over time.
Can I just come back to my original point? The Statue of Liberty is on its face.
Yes.
What in the wide world of sports is going on?
Apparently, there's a cut scene that they didn't do at the end where they actually show them returning the statue to its pedestal.
I quit. I resigned effective immediately. You got to be kidding me. Really?
Yeah, it's cut out.
Why would you? Here's the deal. Here's my problem.
It's like, this is like we're saying, like, this is kind of like a second job, because I do some deep searching and finding articles and things like that and weird esoteric. I don't mention it all because it's just too much.
Right.
Too much for anything we cover.
Right.
But there's little things like this where it just kind of like it popped in my brain when we got to the Statue of Liberty. I was like, oh yeah, no, there was a scene where they actually have a scene that got cut out where they return her back and put her back.
What? Why would you do that? And so
I've always wondered, like, my kid brain and even
Yeah.
my adult brain went like, all right, like the pedestal she's on is about like half her height.
Yeah.
How'd they get her down?
Yeah. How did that work? Well,
She doesn't really climb.
her feet moved. Well,
Yeah.
that was the other point is that the scale of the Statue of Liberty in that master shot where she's on her face on the ground, that's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
She is not that small. The Statue of Liberty is huge. And the way that she smashes the glass that prevents the thing.
With the torch.
I just, no, movie, you done wrong. You've been found wanting. You are.
This is one of those moments like we just talked about where I think they wrote themselves into a corner.
Right, and they're like,
well,
what do we do now? Well, we gonna get them Statue of Liberties in here. Oh, gee, golly willikers, why? Why would you do that?
Yep.
Why would you do something else? And I
try to do something else. But then again, it's like, okay, they're going for this overarching kind of like lift everybody up together moment.
Right.
Like, what can you believe in?
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, the Statue of Liberty and her symbol of
Right.
liberty and
Right. Well,
justice
and
for
yeah.
all, blah, 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 blah. And
as a language arts teacher who often partners with the humanities
see,
and
I'm
history,
supposed to be the cynical one here. Why am I trying to...
because the shark has been jumped in my world, and I want the shark out. I want
See,
the shark
folks,
packaged.
I'm not 100% hater through and through.
I want the shark made into tuna. Okay.
I mean, I'm still I'm mocking all of this, but I'm trying to pull up Aaron because he's normally the positive.
This is the point, and I stopped taking notes at this point. I was like, final battle.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know what? I also kind of like I have it in my notes, but I kind of didn't want to touch on too.
Oh.
But I think it's really, really funny.
Delightful. Let's have it.
Okay. When everything goes right again,
Yeah.
Way back, we step back and they have their montage where it's like, oh, look, they're heroes again. There's ghosts and everything.
Yeah.
Do you notice what they did to the Ghostbusters symbol?
Oh, they had him with a 2?
Yeah, the peace sign. Why would you change that? Why would you put that on the car?
Well,
why would suddenly it's like we need to
Ghostbusters-
rebrand
it's
our whole.
Ghostbusters 2.
That's the stupid movie reason, but I'm saying
Right.
like in world.
Yeah, no, it doesn't
There's
make sense.
no reason for this. Like, do you remake a whole business from the ground up? We need to change it so that our ghost is giving a peace sign.
By the power of Grayskull, yes.
And then they put that same patch on their new uniforms.
Right. Yeah, I did notice that at the end. I was like, really?
And it's kind of like, this doesn't fit.
No.
Like, what are you
It's like
doing?
that Sesame Street sketch. Like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things does not belong. This
It's just
movie has
gross.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
It is it is gross. You are disgusting, movie. Clean yourself
And
up.
yeah, like this whole last fight scene is something out of like, we backed ourselves in the corner. We don't know what we're going to do. So we're just going to
and we're just gonna it's gonna just be like shoot from the hip and hope that it works.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It just I fast forwarded through a lot of it because I was like, what is happening? I don't care. What's the next? Get me to the end of this movie, please.
Yeah. I was sitting there going like, guys, he's a painting. Get some paint thinner. Just slosh it on there. Boom. This fight's over with.
Right. I did like we talked about earlier. I do like how Ray Stantz gets possessed and turns into him for a second.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a terrifying, horrifying visage.
Oh yeah, when he swings around.
Yeah, like and we're just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And I love how that moment happens because now they've got to defeat him.
But you know, like how they actually kind of like how they fight him is kind of awkward too, because
Right.
like they spray people with the positive goo,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel great because it's
Right.
positive vibes goo.
Yeah, and I was
which
like,
apparently Egon has been generating in the background and not really.
I didn't see. Now that you mention it, now I'm realizing, yeah, because I was like, why is he shooting?
Because they also mentioned we have a limited supply,
Right.
and somehow they managed to coat the whole Statue of Liberty and have enough to do this fight.
Power of Grayskull. The power of Grayskull.
So it's kind of
Plot armor.
yeah, and like it's like, oh, we're gonna shoot the painting with our proton packs.
Yeah, it doesn't make the
This whole fight doesn't make sense.
No, it
folks.
doesn't. And I told you when before we recorded, I said there's a moment where it ends for me. Ghostbusters 2 ends, and it's before the Statue of Liberty. That's where nothing exists after for me for the Statue of Liberty. Before the Statue of Liberty, the movie ends.
But remember,
the rest of it is dismissed. It doesn't exist in my head canon. I reject that reality, and I don't know what the ending is to Ghostbusters 2, but it's a lot better than what was put to film.
You want to know what beats Vigo?
What
The
beats-
crowd singing.
Like
our heroes. No, they're singing like Your Love Will Miss Me or whatever.
No. They're
Oh
singing,
yeah, they're singing the New Year's song. Yeah. For some weird reason at the time. And
because
like,
it was New Year's Eve.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like them singing whatever song they want to.
Right.
This positive vibes from the music together, where everybody suddenly is all together and happy now.
It destroys and saves.
Beats Vigo.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I was looking for like something, but again, like I think to your point, they backed themselves into a corner with the writing. They couldn't find a way out. So the best solution they had is, well, the positive vibes will fix it.
Yeah.
Well, they did, but you had to like again the gymnastics involved
Is just too much. You can't do this.
Yeah. Back, I don't know, I think it was the 1996 Olympics when Carrie Strug like landed her landing and injured her foot, but still held.
Yeah.
Like none of our world class athletes gymnastics would be able to perform the leaps that this movie attempts to do in this last bit, because it is. I think Carrie Strug would have been looked at it and been like, no, I'm out. Bye, see ya, peace. Dominic Luciano would have been like, nope. Simone Biles would have been like, nope.
Yeah,
it is.
This whole fight, folks, like when you get to it and just watch it and just try to find.
Well, they put the baby
reasoning
behind
in
like
it.
some boxes.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, what the heck?
Because at that point, the baby is an inconvenient prop.
Right.
To get in the way of all the fighting and stuff
Yeah.
they have to do.
Yeah.
And the people flying around and stuff. And like Vigo proves the point where it's like, I don't really need the body to appear. I can
Right.
come out as a spirit and start zapping you guys.
Right, which is also really weird. It's like, well, then why didn't we just have that?
Yeah.
Forget the baby. I mean, baby's lovely. We should have the baby around somewhere.
Yeah.
But then what?
And then when you can just possess someone that's weak to possession
Right.
to get a body.
Right. Really? Well, then he gets the baby,
Yeah.
and then he's holding the baby, and then the singing starts.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh no, he's going to drop the baby.
Yeah.
And that sets up this moment of like, well, what happens if Venkman's not fast enough? What if he's not able to release himself from is it Vigo?
Yeah, well, Vigo's holding the baby about to
Vigo,
drop it.
right,
And then Vigo has that weird hold on them where they're trapped on the ground.
I can't move.
Like, we can't move. And it's kind of like, and then Vigo gets weakened by the singing, and then they can move again.
Yeah, and then Peter Venkman gets in just in time to catch the baby
save
from
the
falling.
baby.
And I'm like, I have never been more upset at a plot device than that moment. I'm like,
It's
you
so
don't
bad.
put a baby. No. It's like when Star Wars killed the younglings. No. I don't care that it made Darth Vader seem evil. You done, son. I don't want it. I don't like it. Get it out of my Star Wars. That is child murder.
Yeah.
How dare you enter that in to Star Wars, a supposedly, allegedly, family-friendly stuff.
Where he kills the younglings, baby. I always thought it'd be better if like he would have actually been fighting other Jedi as he moving through the temple.
Right. That would have been workable.
Like instead we got some weird like scenes of just like the clones are gunning people down.
Yeah.
I was like, no, where's all the other kind of like masters that aren't involved in that? Have Anakin just slaughtering Jedi left and right instead of doing the kid thing.
Yeah.
Which the kid thing is now like a meme, and I always laugh at it a little bit because it is kind of funny.
Yeah. But
Or
it's
like-
still...
and I call his lightsaber the Youngling Slayer 9000. You know, it's just kind of like...
No. So like and that like we can talk Star Wars later.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We'll
so
get to those movies.
the point of it is, and then once Vigo is dead and the baby falls into Venkman's arms and that whole plot device finally gets out of my face, what do we have in the painting?
Yeah, like when Vigo is now dead for wherever he
You've
went.
got the Ghostbusters and the baby and a painting, and they're like, wow, that's so amazing.
And it's kind of, there's no reason for this to happen at all.
what you-
It is just... Ugh.
It's like when in DreamWorks where they would end with a dance in like in the Shrek and the iRobot movies or whatever. Like no, Robot was the movie title, and they would end with a dance. That's how this feels. It's like, why?
Yeah,
What?
why?
No.
There's no explanation for this at
no
all.
reason. No plot reason. No reason. No rational thought.
Yeah.
And let's see. In painting, I put ha without an exclamation point because I was so cranky.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, at this point, it's kind of like, everything's all right. Cue the music.
Yeah.
And then you go into the montage where everything's okay.
Right, and it's the new theme.
Yeah.
Still, we never go back to the original theme.
Yeah.
We get it in the beginning, and it's like, oh, this is beautiful, and then we never get back to it.
And they get awarded the key to the city and all that kind of stuff. And
I just want to put my head through a desk, but I don't because I like my head and I like my brain and I want to stay alive. But this... Ghostbusters 2 is, for me...
like, if you listen to the first episode, look how happy he started. And now look at where he's at. Folks.
Things have taken a turn.
Welcome to James's existence.
Welcome to Thunderdome. It is really disappointing.
Yep.
As a reader and as a writer, that this is what they came up with.
Yep.
And I think if they had figured out a way to not have the Statue of Liberty business, to rework that entire final ending, this could have been a great movie. Notwithstanding your protestations, you're not a Protestant, protestations, there it is, about the entire rest of the movie and how you lost it in the first 5 minutes.
We could have fixed this movie, like, if they would have just given more time to cook.
Yeah.
Let him have more time to think and write about
Unfortunately,
this.
they pulled out the...
and get Bill Murray on board.
Yeah, and
Because,
get-
like, you have to think about it. It's like he drove the first movie.
Yeah.
His character is Venkman, whatever, his goofiness, whatever.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't in the frame
and
for
the
this
other
movie.
characters had to try and pick up that pace, and it
And
did
you can't
not
do that.
work.
I mean, we also have to talk about the injustice that kept happening to Winston Zedmore.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets sidelined in this movie as well a lot.
Yeah.
They try to give him some scenes like the ghost train,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But even that is just awkward for what it is.
Well, and I think what Afterlife does is they get it right. So in Afterlife, obviously it's been enough weeks that we can talk about the spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Afterlife, don't listen to the rest of this few minutes.
Yeah, you just listen to all this when we're talking about Afterlife.
That's true. You're
need
on
to
your own, kids.
Probably cut something in between, like the first bit of the first half of this.
Oh well. So you there's two end credit scenes after Ghostbusters Afterlife, and the second one, Winston Zeddemore takes on the mantle of the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Well, he's going to fund everything.
He's going to fund everything, and he's taking over. He brings the Ecto 1 back home. I think that is repayment for how they didn't do him well in Ghostbusters 2. Because it does recognize that Winston Zeddemore, he is he's the Egon now.
Yep.
Because Egon was the heart. We talked about this earlier. Egon was the heart and soul. He was the science. He was the passion. He was the drive. He was the rock. And so now Winston is like, well, I've made my money. I've made my millions.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit comfortably. I'm going to get back into business. I'm going to get back.
Especially with Ghost back in the picture again. It's kind of like, okay.
Well, and he talks about how like important this is, and it's important for people to understand and to support his family and his community.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that they figured out a way to grant him that credit and to he earned. Like it wasn't like they just get.
Well,
like,
that's why I hope they do another one
Yeah.
in the world or something where he is kind of like a mentor-y figure to him.
He's the head of the Ghostbusters division.
You don't really have to bring in the others,
Yeah.
because their time is done.
Yeah.
But you could have him be the mentor that brings and do him right.
Well, out of all three of the
him service.
out of all three of the old Ghostbusters guys, he looks the best.
Oh yeah.
Like
Aykroyd and Murray look rough.
They have lived a life.
Yeah.
I think Bill Murray has probably lived a little bit of a rougher life than Aykroyd.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ernie looks dang
Super
good.
young.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like, dang, dude, what you been dosing with? How you been eating?
Yeah. Why don't you age?
He's like Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Those two apparently don't age.
But yeah, so that's why it's like I hope they do that. So
Yeah.
then give him even more of a service.
Yeah.
As the character, because even in #1, like so much of him got like this is one of those things I probably didn't mention it in the first episode when we talked
Yeah.
about it, but his character got shaved down a lot.
He did.
And they didn't really like say why in anything I looked for.
Yeah.
But they did say like there's one thing that they did do right. And when Ghostbusters 2 came around, Murray, one of his things he did push for in his contract and stuff when he signed up to do it was that he wanted like Ernie to get put in more publications and be on like the posters and things like that, like serve him better.
Yeah.
But he still got done wrong in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, ugh.
I agree.
And I'm glad that they did make him the everyday man because his first concept, are you aware of this? The first concept for Winston Zeddemore, he was going to be like a veteran with like PTSD and be all kinds of weird.
Oh, that wouldn't have fit well.
And made him like a military guy. And then they paired off that weirdness and just we're going to make him like a military guy who's like very strict and no.
That would not have fit well.
And that wouldn't have fit well either in the first movie.
Yeah.
Instead, we got everyday man Winston Zeddemore, and that perfect.
It
that
worked.
fits.
Yeah. Well, so again, Ghostbusters 2, it's a mixed bag. Depending on your perspective, as Obi-Wan would say in Star Wars, depending on your point of view, it's either the greatest movie of all time or it's the most disgusting pile that needs to be shoveled into the back of the truck and sent packing. I'm somewhere towards the positive. James is probably some towards the middle.
I have my shovel out getting ready for this one.
It's time to take Lassie out behind the...
Well, I mean, all I will say is like there are bits in this movie where you get like, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to save this.
Yeah.
It's just not enough.
So let's figure out our rating for this film out of 10 whatevers, 10 stars, I guess. I'm going to go first because I know I'm going to get chastised.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you for being here to chastise me. It's just a joy in my heart to come into the podcast world and get chastised every dang day.
Well, come on, you're enjoying this, so
yes,
hey.
I am smiling through the pain.
Yeah.
So I would give this... I got to think about this for a second. I'm going to say 7 out of 10 because the reason for that 7 out of 10 is from the Statue of Liberty on, it's an abomination, and so that's
it's super abomination.
It's the last third or last fourth of the movie. I don't recognize it, so that's why the 7 exists because it allows me to say 70% of the movie is a solid Ghostbusters movie that I can accept and enjoy and get behind and whatever. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. What's your rating?
Flat 5.
Cold as ice. Okay. I mean, we already know.
You already know because I just tore this thing apart for over almost 2 hours or something now.
Yeah, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So your mileage may vary on this movie. You have to recognize that it is from the 80s. It is going to be a little campy. Yep. But
I mean, it's still watchable.
Yeah.
You can go watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's way worse movies than this one, folks.
Good Lord.
But it's just this one. There's those little bits that are in there.
Yeah.
The heart isn't here.
Yeah.
I mean, but you do get some beats where it's like, oh, this scene.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we got Venkman back right here.
Yeah,
and you get those little bits of brilliance. But overall, they just kind of it falls apart.
Yeah, it's not
because
it's not the
nothing's
most,
so cohesive.
Yeah, it's not the most fun you can have with
And
the movie.
I mean, you're not going to get the lightning in the bottle that was the original.
No, you'll never get that. It's the same thing with Back to the Future. I mean, I love the Back to the Future sequels, and we'll debate that at length at some point. But
I would say like out of that one, it's like the second one's the weakest, but it still moves everything forward.
Yeah, the third one's the campy one, which I enjoy 3. But I guess I'm apparently
Hey, you haven't gotten my review on that one yet, so you don't know where I stand on 3.
Wait. To be decided.
I mean, folks, surprisingly enough, I actually like the third one.
We found common ground. Peace in our time, as Neville Chamberlain would say.
See, I'm not a monster.
The fact that you have to say that's concerning. there's some people out there in their psychotherapy in their therapist chairs who are like, what does that tell us about him?
Well, I mean, my favorite candy is the kind that kills your taste buds, so it's like torture. So what does that say about me? Maybe I'm the one that needs therapy.
Well, we'll schedule you. We'll pencil you in for someone, apparently. Okay, so the next couple episodes we got coming rolling to you. We have episode 5, which we are going to switch gears out of the Ghostbusters and Supernatural.
Yeah, we're going to kind of go out of that.
And we're going to talk about comics and our love of comics.
And maybe recommend a few here and there.
And I'll talk about my classic love of Batman, Superman. James will talk about his love of stuff. We'll talk about how, if we're interested in anything current, and go from there. Episode 6 will kick off the Iron Man series.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Iron Man 1.
And we're going to talk about Robert Downey Jr. and the impact that man has had.
Well, him and Jon Favreau.
And just the incredible, this is a kind of almost going to be a retro kind of conversation of there is a definite point in time that is pre-Iron Man and post-Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
The difference in movie and Marvel and all of that is staggering.
Yes.
And it is incredible to think about what we had before, and we'll talk about that there.
But yeah, that's why we're going to do that as our next, the one after the comic book review, because comics books is just kind of fun to talk about. Yeah. And then that leads us perfectly into Iron Man.
Yeah. And then episode 7, possibly maybe a 2-parter where we talk more Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or we may start into our Star Trek conversation, which, great Mama Seuss. It's going to be, that's a new expression, great Mama Seuss.
Mama Seuss, I've never heard of that one before.
It just made it up.
Yeah.
It's going to go wild on the internet.
Yeah, Star Trek is going to be kind of awkward because we're going to be trying to tackle like the TV shows, not the movies, folks.
Yeah. We're going to figure that one out.
Like, that one's going to be kind of rough. We'll try to hash that out.
That's our tagline. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Well, I mean, just think of the amount of content we're going to have to cover. And it's like we can't exactly spend all the time watching it all.
Oh, I'm a Star Trek fan. I'll watch it all day long.
I'm definitely not. Well, no, okay. I'm a Star Trek fan, but I'm not going to spend all my time trying to rewatch everything.
So you're like my brain, my eyes. They'll pour out of my head.
I need time to read books. That's my home zone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but remember, we are going to sneak in our Christmas episode.
Episode 8 will be a Christmas film fantastical. We're going to talk about Christmas movies, Christmas nerdy traditions. Turkey Day will be talked about, a Mystery Science Theater 3000, and then Christmas TV episodes, because back in the day, and even still now, every TV show back in the day had a Christmas episode.
Yeah, that's why we feel we need to do a Christmas special
Christmas
podcast.
Theme. We're gonna light up a tree. Not really, because you won't be able to see it. Yeah. We might actually one of these days do a video podcast.
Maybe.
Where we put our faces
you can
on
see
the
how
internet.
ugly and hideous we are.
We're beautiful people, James.
I want to get like a mask so I look even more hideous. Or maybe I can convince.
I immediately regret my decision.
Like the ladies at Zazzy Cafe just make me look even worse. And just, so you see me as like the troll underneath the bridge that I am. When
James, positive self-talk.
Critical of everything.
Positive. It's a terrifying image. We will not do a video-based podcast after that diatribe. So we will. Episode 9 will feature some more Star Trek, maybe some Star Wars, as we move into the new year.
Yeah, Star Wars is something when we tackle that. It's going to be a long one because I mean we're going to do the originals, we're going to do the sequels.
Yeah, and you're more of a Star Wars guy, so I'm very critical of Star Wars.
That's fine.
Star Wars.
So am I.
Star Wars is
me.
Star Wars is my dead horse that I keep on beating up because I'm just it makes it like. There are very few things that make me visibly passionately angry. Mm-hmm. What J.J. Abrams did to Star Trek makes me cranky, and what J.J. Abrams did to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the same villain.
Thing, yeah.
The same villain has a part in these two stories.
We need more lens flare.
Yeah, that worked out so well. And we can even talk about J.J. Abrams' movie series, TV series, and movies.
And how he came to be.
Yeah, Lost was a train wreck towards the last end of the season. J.J. Abrams he made some like a kid movie that was like ghosts, or like not ghosts, but aliens, and it I wasn't as thrilled about it. And there was this monster movie. And J.J. Abrams, you're on the list. You're on my list of people we need to talk about. And
discussed him at length.
Harangue him from a distance.
How did he become like the guy that remakes everything and reboots?
Somebody gave him money,
whatever.
And he apparently got money,
especially after that train wreck of Lost.
Yeah, but hey, he makes money, so let's do it. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been an abbreviated episode. It's only about 45 minutes or so, which is
pretty good.
Yeah,
this is supposed to be the length of our episode.
Yeah,
and then we only covered like the last chunk of one movie.
Yeah. So there's a lot more to come on this podcast. If you're interested in participating in some capacity, if you're out there and you are not in Fort Morgan or Morgan County, there are ways for us to do like actual online recording with like you calling into a process, and me and James can sit here and actually engage with you and talk with you. If you're interested in being a guest or have a passion for nerd stuff, feel free to reach out, adelayedteacher@gmail.com. If you're in Morgan County and you're one of our Morgan Countyites, that's a weird one, the Morgan County people, whatever you call yourselves, whatever we call ourselves these days, and you're interested in joining in, or you have a topic you'd like to discuss, and you're like, man, I know this like 6 Ways to Tuesday, and I think I'd be cool to talk to you guys, reach out again, adelayedteacher@gmail.com.
Yeah. And if you don't mind spending some time with us, hashing us out, talking about stuff, whatever.
Oh yeah, no, there's some planning.
Yeah, there's planning and prep work we do for this. I mean,
and we're absolutely lovely people, and we're nice. We're not monsters, despite James's
we always
suggestion.
bring snacks.
Yeah, we do. We bring protein bars.
I'm just saying, like, because I'm the more critical one so far.
There's the wrapping for the. That's like ASMR.
Oh God.
Oh near. Okay. On that dramatic bombshell and terrifying connection.
Also, Matt, you're never gonna be a guest. To give it up.
I don't know who you are, Matt.
He's a friend of mine from back in Texas,
okay.
And I know Matt very well, and I know he and his wife started listening to us, and they love us.
Hello, Matt.
But I know Matt, it's not going to happen.
Matt, the force is strong with this one. Continue to attempt.
Strong in the force you are.
We will let your wife on, but not you.
We have standards, sir. Standards. Which is actually a lie.
I know right now. He is exploding right now. And I know for a fact.
If we had standards, this wouldn't be happening right now. Yeah. We've lowered the bar. And that's okay, because we accept ourselves for who we are and what we are. And we hope that you will too, as we close out this show. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Please continue to subscribe and do all the things you do on the podcasty thingies.
Yeah.
And check out our website, createatmorgan.org. You'll see a whole bunch of other podcasts listed. We have a computer gaming podcast with Chris, which is the County Gamers, and we record that once a week. And we're also trying to get some of our students involved here in Morgan, and we're gonna expand. If you're out there in the community and you want to start a podcast, reach out, because the more people, the more conversations, the more voices that we have from rural communities and from communities across this country who are able to speak out and say things and have something to say. There's power in that, and I want to make sure that we boost that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Until next time, my name is Aaron.
And my name is James.
And this has been Nerds by Screenlight. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care,
everybody.
We just said the same thing. Take care.
I know, right?
Take care.
That's supposed to be my line at the end.
We're going to go out in the
trying
alley.
to steal my line. Remember, proton packs at 20 paces.
I would lose. No questions asked. Until next time, and the proton pack face-off that will happen at some point down the road. This has been Nerds by Screenlight. We're going to go turn our monitors off and go home. Good night.
Good night.
You've been listening to the Nerds by Screenlight podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, a language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.